we just saw and what worked really well. There were some things that I thought were universally exceptional across the speeches that we saw today, and I want to highlight them so that you can take those and incorporate them into your own presentations as you go back home. So from your mind, what are some things that stood out to you that were very effective from the presentations across the board?
Well, the personal stories,
the personal stories, and what happens when you have a personal story? It tugs. There's some emotional connection. But what I liked is there were some that were really personal to themselves. But even if the story wasn't about them, it was about someone they knew, it was still personal. So I thought it was a great example that you don't have to have had a tragedy in your life to be an effective advocate for United Way. And I thought that worked really, really well.
That's one of the things, kind of look at it, and I can relate to it too, is the LEs are going from if they're new, from an uninformed status to a passionate status.
Yeah. So that's what you're trying to do when you lead these presentations, because a lot of your audiences aren't going to have the same information you do. And as we've learned, when you take the tours and you understand what United Way does, you go from uninformed to a passionate advocate. And you want to transfer that same process to your audience by giving them the same information that had an impact on you. A really great insight. What else stuck out in your mind that went particularly well with these presentations? The ask. Across the board, the asks were fantastic. I mean, I put an exclamation point every time I thought an ask was effective, and there was an exclamation point for every single person that presented today. That is a marketed improvement over where we were last year as a group. The asks were personal, they were specific, and they were about United Way. So good job on that. That was great. That deserves a hoop and a holler. So what else stuck out in your mind?
They were self-assured and they really connected because of that.
What I loved about it is that self-assurance was, I really think, and I'm guessing those that presented may have been a little nervous, but the focus was on what United Way is doing and not on the fact that I'm a great speaker or a nervous speaker or I'm a new speaker. And I thought that was really effective. Everyone seemed confident and calm and focused on the message rather than themselves. That was great. Anything else jump out at you?
I like, well, a couple of you didn't state your name, so I can't say who I'm referring to, but she started with, I want to talk to you today about a great opportunity, as opposed to, you know,
you're here.
Yeah, you're here to do United Way. It's like a really great opportunity, and that, I think, really sets just a great light on the conversation.
Shay did that. And I want to build on what Riley just said. The opportunity is a way for your audience to get involved in your presentation. And I thought everyone did that really well. You transferred from your story or your experience to what your audience, how your audience can relate to that same experience. Because you all talked about, you know, imagine if this happened to you, or the 1 in 3. There were really great connections made to your audience. I was really proud of that. Really, really proud of that. When you think holistically, these were great presentations, and I want you to thank the presenters again because they were great. Yes.
I thought everybody did a very, very good job. I really want to congratulate this lady. She did a very good job of canvassing the audience. She did a really good job. She looked around and was looking at everybody, and that's engaging. I mean, you will hold their attention. There's another gentleman here, right there, this gentleman right here. He would kind of move around a little bit, and that causes that audience to continue to follow you, continue to pay attention. And that's just something, but I was very, very impressed with what both of you did.
It's a great insight, and it's one of the things that I want you to, there are a couple of things that I want you to consider when you go back home, okay? One of them is to focus on your audience and making eye contact with them rather than what you've got here. If you wrote it down on a card, you know it. You just have to trust yourself. And I know it's there as a crutch to give you some additional confidence or refer to. You'll be better off when you go home if you can write your outline down on the card rather than writing your speech out on the card, because it'll force yourself to speak from the heart rather than read what you wrote. That's just a really important tip, and making that eye contact with your audience. The other big thing that I want you to make sure that you hit on when you get back home and you start doing these for your organizations is you do what we saw today, and what I heard in your small groups is that you're all using these stories incredibly well, and you're linking those stories to service providers in the community. I mean, what were some of the service providers we heard this morning already? Red Cross, the Bridge, Goodwill. We heard a plethora of them, and you use them really, really well. You've got to make sure your audience isn't confusing your ask to be just for that organization. So you can use that as an example of what United Way does, but assure your audience that when you're asking them to support United Way, they will do more than just support the organization you talked about. That they'll support, this past year, what was it, 23 service providers in the community? And why do you want to do that? Why is that a key critical thing for you to consider?
Everybody has different interests.
Everybody has different interests. Everybody has a different experience they bring, a different politic, a different ethic, and there may be something about a specific service provider that you've referenced that they don't like, and you don't want this to be about the service provider. You want it to be about United Way. You're using service provider in that story to link to United Way. Now, you did that today. You did it well. I just want you, when you get home, to be reminded that you're asking people to support United Way because of all the service providers it supports, not just the one that you may have referenced effectively in your presentation. Anything you guys want to add as they head back home for the presentations themselves? I was really, really impressed with the work that you've done in the last couple of days. I was particularly impressed as I listened to you give your presentations in your work groups, because the presentations we saw here were magnified times 10 from what I heard in your groups. We could have heard a totally different subset of people and had the same effectiveness that we saw with these examples because of the work that you've done. And I really want to thank your team leaders, because you were led to this point and the effectiveness that we saw because of the work that your team leaders did. So thank them for guiding you through this. And I just want to say on a personal point that I am always, I'm always challenged by the work that you're doing this weekend and the passion you bring to it and the impact that you're going to have on our community. The commitment you've made to get your presentation right, to get it to connect with your audience and to focus on United Way is going to make a difference in our community. And as you've all referenced, when you make a difference in your community, you may eventually be making a difference in your own life, but at the bare minimum, a difference in the life of someone sitting next to you. So thank you for your dedication and your work, and I'm proud of what you're going to go home and do, and look forward to celebrating with you all when you reach the goal, because when we reach the goal that will be set, it will be because of the work that you've done in your teams yesterday and today. So congratulations, and thanks for letting me be a part of it.